perhaps more passion, perhaps more humor, perhaps more relevance, certainly more energy and creativity. And as Ivan at the beginning of our last session encouraged, respect. Not just tolerance, but respect. So it's my pleasure now, in this session after coffee, to welcome 5 speakers who will each have the platform to themselves. So you may think of this a little bit more like the format of a TED talk. They may wander around, they may have slides, they may surprise all of us, and that is very, very welcome. So first on this platform, I wish to welcome Renz Agayo, who is head of the Asia-Pacific Interfaith Youth Network and coordinator of the Religions for Peace International Youth Committee, and is from the Philippines. Welcome, Renz.
Good day to all of you. Before I begin my speech, I'd like you first to look at the person beside you and tell them one word, just one word, of what peace means to you. Okay? Just one word. What does peace mean to you? Tell the person beside you. Okay, thank you for that. Greetings of peace to everyone. I titled my talk, Youth as Bridges of Peace, the role of youth in advancing peace through interreligious dialogue, the word I've been hearing earlier today. I use this title to reflect not only what I want to share with all of you today, but also an experience that I've had for the past 15 years that I have been working with young people across the world in the space of interfaith dialogue. I want to emphasize that the youth of today are not just leaders of tomorrow. They are on their own leaders already of today. They are bridges that connect faith traditions, generations, and communities. And this is something that in our work in Religions for Peace, building bridges is a lived expression of what we call shared sacred flourishing. And that peace is not only in the absence of war, but also present in our wholeness. Peace happens when the spaces for shared values happen among us, when all of us are able to flourish together and grow together. I have witnessed the youth embody this flourishing in their friendships, in their openness, and in their shared courage to dream for a better world. When we think of and talk about peace, like I asked you earlier, we often imagine it as something that is abstract, something distant, or something reserved for the forum or conference like this one. But I learned from children in Mindanao that peace can be simple and yet profound. Kids there that I've asked shared with me that they believe that peace means they can go to school, or that peace means they can play outside without fear, or that they're able to see their parents come home safely at night. These young people lived during the times of armed conflict in our country. And for them, this is the very essence of why I believe the youth can be transformative bridges for peace. Okay? So you might be wondering, why are young people positioned to be unique peace builders that fosters peaceful coexistence? Well, as mentioned earlier, the youth of today is the largest generation cohort in the world that we have. And they are the most interconnected generation, thanks to technology and social media. The youth are connected, they are curious, they are creative, and they are open. And in many cases, the youth are often the missing link in interreligious dialogue. They are the ones who are equipped to engage and to innovate, and yet they are not given seats where it matters. So allow me to share with you my own experiences. From 2010 to 2014, I worked with young people in the armed conflict areas of Central Mindanao region, where I conducted psychosocial support programs in the belief that healing can lead to peace. The healing of trauma and the wounds that are caused by armed conflict can actually lead to dialogue and reconciliation. I worked with young people there who helped their children understand that their trauma and that healing from pain can lead to reconciliation. They spoke about how vengeance is not the only path. They show that peace is possible despite differences in faith and belief through the games that they played and the friendships that they built. They did not see the other as the enemy, but a friend that they share the world with. They broke the barriers of division that war had built, and they were examples of how healing can lead to dialogue. Through these friendships that I have witnessed from Christian, Muslims, and indigenous children, the cycle of violence has weakened. Their innocence is not their weakness, but it is their strength. I remember vividly in one activity, the one you see here on the screen, where we brought Muslim, Christian, and indigenous youth together. We asked them to draw their vision of the future and what peace meant to them. One of the drawings struck me the most because it showed, it doesn't show you, the topmost photo there. It shows hands with symbols of Christianity and Islam joined together, showing that peace is a peaceful coexistence among our differences in faith and belief. Peace is possible through friendships and peer support. And this experience that I've had from the youth in Mindanao moved from local leadership to global leadership, as I witnessed how healing becomes an essential part of dialogue, and only with dialogue can there be reconciliation and an end to the cycle of violence. So these young people were able to show, here's that peace is possible, peace is teachable, and peace is sustainable, but only if we nurture it together. And this experience went as young people joined together globally. This movement in Religions for Peace, where we came together in Lindau, Germany in 2019, showed how friendships that are formed in gatherings like this one can change from transactional encounters to transformational leadership and relationships. When we met there, we formed bonds. We danced together, shared stories, we dreamed together. And then we changed that and moved from conversations and friendships to actions that actually address the issues we face today. We led programs like the Our Earth, Our Responsibility campaign, which is an action against climate change. During the COVID-19 pandemic, many of our youth movement shared features using social media, one thing they're very good at, in addressing the impact of COVID-19 in various communities. We also called through a video on YouTube for a ceasefire during the COVID-19 crisis. In the use of Instagram and Facebook, we used the power of social media to call against gender-based violence through our Thursdays in Black campaign. And from these activities that you can see, we were using the power and the energy of the youth in the various spaces that we work in. Our youth leaders in India use sports to teach interreligious education. In Myanmar, in Yangon, we use tree planting activities to share interfaith actions for our environments. In the Philippines, we use youth peace camps as a way to engage, collaborate, and build actions together. And in South Africa, our youth movement actually created a campaign on social media to combat hate speech. From these experiences, using the technology that we all have, we were able to show that even in the digital space, peace can happen. This is what we mean when we create and change our transactional relationships into transformative relationships. For us, dialogue now is not just a meeting. It is already a movement. Our youth are in the position also of being effective leaders in intergenerational and interreligious collaboration. The youth cannot do this alone. We need elders to work with us in bringing peace. Elders bring with them the wisdom and legitimacy, while the young people bring the energy with them and innovation. Together, we create synergy. In the Asian Conference of Religions for Peace, I was able to witness the synergy come alive. Our senior leaders did not only mentor us, but they also empowered us with resources, platforms, and trust. Through the Advancing Youth Leadership Project, the youth launched campaigns on disarmament, youth action against human trafficking, and inter-religious education. We also had peace camps that build capacities and friendships. The result is that the Religions for Peace Asia-Pacific Interfaith Youth Network is now the strongest and one of the strongest in our Religions for Peace family. This is because our elders believed in us. They opened doors for us, and they institutionalized youth leadership. This is what mentorship means and what mentorship does. It creates spaces for discord and wisdom exchange. Here, they empowered us to become not just leaders of the future, but leaders of today. Representation is not just having a seat at the table. It means having a voice, having a vote, and being empowered and having the ability to act. This is what I mean when I say that it is possible only if we work together. The evidence is clear. The youth are not just leaders waiting for their turn. They are now leaders of our present. They are bridges that connect faith, beliefs, generations, and communities. So allow me to end with this call. Dear leaders, the elders who are here with us, let us ensure that the youth are not just part and present of dialogue, but they are empowered as equal partners that are able to work with you in our actions for peace. They are builders of peace today. For my fellow youth, let's hold fast on our courage. Let us remember that we must be present, not just in creating bridges. We're not just here to cross those bridges. We need to be the bridges where peace, love, and trust can pass through. Let us be the world, be the people, the generation that the world needs today. Remember, the youth are able, the youth are willing, and the youth is ready to bring the peace in our world, but only if we let them lead. So thank you very much. Maraming salamat po, and may peace be upon you all.
Thank you so much, Rens. I heard that call to leaders at the end, and I think you were talking to the older generation, but I just want to affirm that what we saw there is leadership from the younger generation. Let's not suggest that someone like Rens has to wait. Okay, next speaker on the platform, I am delighted to welcome Madi Fazil, who is from Kazakhstan and is well known as a polyglot and a blogger. Welcome, Madi.
Ассаламағалейкум, құрметті қонақтар, Қазақстанға қош келдіңіздер. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'd like to start with a very simple question right now. How do you think? What unites us as human beings? Over the past few years, I've interviewed more than 1,000 people here in Kazakhstan. In different languages, of course. With talking to different people from different countries, they all speak different languages. Apparently, they all follow different religions. And you know what I've learned? That despite all the differences we have, people admire the same things, they fear the same things, and they love the same things. When I started my journey as a content creator polyglot here in Kazakhstan, I wanted to prove one thing, that the language is not just the words. The language is a bridge. Whenever I approach the Filipinos and ask them, "Kamusta ka na? Gusto mo ba na Kazakhstan? Ano ang iyong mensahe mo sa mundo?" When I start speaking to German people, I go like, "Was ist Ihre Meinung zu Kasachstan und was ist Ihre Botschaft an die Welt?" Or then I start speaking to Japanese people and I go like, 日本語できますか? このカザフスタンについて印象はどうですか? 全世界にどんなメッセージがありますか? And I start speaking to people from Arab countries. I go like, ماذا تفعل في كازاخستان? يعني إذا كانت عندك فرصة أن تقول أي شيء للعالم فماذا ستقول? Through language, I sat across strangers, Muslims, Christians, Jews, Buddhists, and all of a sudden I realized a very powerful thing. That before we are followers of any religion, we're human beings. We laugh at the same jokes. We wish for a better future for our children. We miss our families in the same way. Religion, at its core, is not about separation. It's about connection. Every sacred text and its own words tells us to care for each other, to respect, and to love. But sometimes, unfortunately, we don't build those bridges. We build walls. And those walls are not created by religion itself. They are created by fear, prejudice, and misunderstanding. Intercultural communication helps to breaking down those walls. Because listening, learning, and speaking across differences, this is actually what unites us. Because equality does not mean we're all the same. Equality means our differences are equally valuable. The truth is, whether you are from Astana or Madrid, whether you pray in Arabic, Kazakh, or Russian, you are equally valuable. You are worthy of respect. So, my message today is pretty simple. Please, I ask you one more time, please, let's not use religion to divide us. Let's use it to strengthen our bonds as human beings. And let us remember that every time we speak to someone different from us, every time we listen with an open heart, we prove something truly beautiful. That humanity is greater than any label, any border, or any wall. Thank you.
My goodness, Maddy practices what he preaches, doesn't he? In using language to connect. That was brilliant. And I just want to repeat something you just said, Maddy. Let's not use religion to divide, but to strengthen our bonds. I could hear the affirmation from behind me as you said that. Okay, our third speaker, I'm particularly proud to introduce as a bishop in the Anglican Communion, because we have a lay Anglican coming next, who is a young activist from Sri Lanka, from the Anglican Church of Ceylon, and her name is Ninadi Hishara. Ninadi, welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. I really like to hear a good afternoon when I say a good afternoon, because it shows me that you're actually listening to me. So, good afternoon. Okay, much better. So, it is a great privilege and an honor for me to stand here today and talk to you all. And I believe that it is absolutely wonderful that we all come from different nations, different walks of faith, different walks of life, and we're here gathered today with one common hope, that we can build or shape a future marked by peace, of coexistence, and mutual respect. So, as it was mentioned, I'm a Christian from the little island of Sri Lanka, which is an island with a large, huge history of both beauty and resilience, but also of times of division and conflict. From a country as such, I know how easy it is to connect religion to conflict. Sadly, in the world today, religion has often been misused as such. But here is the truth that I would like to highlight today, is that just as much as religion is misused for conflict, it can be used correctly to be a powerful tool for peace. Religion can be a source of healing, a wellspring of compassion, and a foundation for reconciliation. One of the most important lessons that I have learned is that religion in itself is neutral. It's neither inherently violent or neither inherently peaceful, but it is us, its followers, that interpret and live it out, and here lies the opportunity to lift up the connectors among us rather than what divides us as religions. For example, in Sri Lanka, which is a multicultural, multi-religious country, the majority who are living there are Buddhists, where we also have Hindus and Muslims and Christians like myself, among other religious believers. There have been times that various factors have attempted to divide us on religious lines, but I have also seen the opposite. I have seen religious leaders and communities come together to offer aid during natural disasters, to advocate for peace during times of war, and to stand out for justice and to comfort the grieving after violent attacks. Religion in these moments was not the divider, but it was definitely the solution. On a more personal note, my own circle of friends, as well as my own family, is multi-religious. Together, we celebrate each other, from making lanterns with my Buddhist friends to celebrate Vesak, to sharing an iftar meal with my best friend at her house, and to waking up early in the morning to go and celebrate Thai Pongal with my Hindu friends at the university. I've done it all. And I have had the opportunity to experience the peace and the love that it all brings. Did these celebrations erase our differences? No, it definitely didn't erase our differences, but it reminded us of something that is very important and profound, that our values often overlap. The pursuit of peace, the practice of generosity, the call to compassion, and the responsibility to care for the vulnerable. And this is not just unique to my little island of Sri Lanka. Across the world, we see that religion calls humanity to peace. In Christianity, we hear Jesus say, "Blessed are the peacemakers." In Buddhism, it emphasizes the compassion and the cessation of suffering. And I could go on, because all the religions, all of our faiths, we talk about peaceful coexistence. And these are not small connectors. These are powerful bridges that we can build on. Interfaith engagement is not about erasing our differences or trying to convert each other. Instead, it is about walking together in mutual respect, practicing hospitality, and witnessing of peace. I have had the opportunity to engage in community work with youth from different walks of faith, together regardless of faith or culture or ethnicity, to sit in discussions where people of all religions and cultures shared their pain and their stories, where we share both painful stories caused by the division in the past and also the future that we dream without any of these divisions. And this always reminds me that in a world of growing polarization, dialogues across religion is not an option. It is essential for survival. Think about the challenges that we face today. Climate change, which affects all nations, all faiths. Refugee crises, where displaced people need our support regardless of borders. Rising religious nationalism, which seeks to divide rather than to unite. Online hate speech, where young people are both the most vulnerable and the most powerful challenges. In each of these global realities, religion can either fuel hostility or it can inspire hope. And the difference lies in how we choose to act. This means that when we approach interfaith peace building, we must avoid trying to change the other person. Rather, we focus on bridging the practical incompatibilities that arise from the value differences. For example, we may disagree on theology, but we can agree to work together for helping the needy. We may disagree on the rituals, but we can stand to unite in protecting the environment. We may have different scriptures, but we can all use our sacred texts to inspire empathy, justice, and reconciliation. Religious texts, when read in the spirit of peace, becomes powerful tools for peacemaking. Each contains timeless wisdom that can guide us towards compassion and solidarity. I think we have understood that with all the talks that we have heard today. So what role do young people play in this? As it was mentioned before, youth leaders are not just future leaders. We are present actors. We are not waiting for tomorrow to take responsibility. Already around the world, in many places, young people are mobilizing as faith-based actors. We have such young people here today as well. When young people draw on their faith, they do not only gain identity and belonging, they also gain resilience. Faith gives meaning. It nurtures empathy and it strengthens courage in the face of despair. And when youth channels these gifts into peace building, the impact is transformative. So let me ask you just one question. What if young people of faith across all religions joined hands, not to dilute our beliefs, but to bring the best of each forward? What if we amplified generosity instead of suspicion, compassion instead of fear, and justice instead of prejudice? I believe this is possible. It's possible with you and it's possible with me. I have seen it in my own multi-religious context. I see it in gatherings like this. And I believe this is the kind of synergy that our world desperately needs for the future. Let us, as youth of faith, become bridge builders in our divided world. Find the connectors between our faiths. Let us draw from our scriptures, our traditions, and our friendships to embody peace in a world so often scarred by division. And let us remember that every act of interfaith friendship, whether it is sharing a meal or joining in service or standing together in solidarity, is itself a prophetic sign of hope. Dear friends, peaceful coexistence is not a dream too far away. It is a path we can walk step by step, hand in hand, faith to faith. And the time for us to walk, it's now. Not tomorrow, it's now. Let us be a generation that refuses to be divided. Let us be a generation that builds bridges where others build walls. And let us be the generation that proves through word and deed and faith that faith, when lived rightly, is not a weapon of division, but a gift of peace. Thank you.
I'm so grateful for the inspiration. Thank you, Ninadi. These TED Talks are just wonderful. To hear the context of Sri Lanka and to be inspired about your living in a pluralist world for my pluralist context. Thank you. Number 4 out of 5 is Stephen Aiello. Among many other roles, Stephen is founder and co-director of Debate for Peace, which is based in Israel. Stephen, the platform is yours.
The Torah teaches us that all humans are created in the image of God, in Hebrew, B'Tselem Elohim. This isn't a physical reference. One of our greatest scholars, Maimonides, teaches that it means that we are similar to God in that our intellectual capabilities allow us to influence things without physicality, the way that God can shape the world without a physical body. With today's brain-computer interfaces, we're even closer to fully understanding that. But with great power comes great responsibility. And the Torah also teaches the 13 attributes of God. For example, compassion, mercy, abundant kindness, truth, forgiveness. I would like to humbly add to the explanation of Maimonides. Synergy is when two or more things work together to create an effect greater than the sum of their parts. This is not natural. In the natural world, 2 + 2 always equals 4. But as we know, sometimes different combinations can create less or more. The greatest example is the transformative nature of a marriage or any other great partnership, where each member complements the other and brings out the best. We have examples within religion. For example, the teaching that giving charity doesn't impoverish the giver, it only enriches the beneficiary. As we look to the challenges of the future, we must embrace and unlock this power of synergy. As humans, when we work together towards a common goal, we can solve any problem. We can create good well beyond the sum of its parts. This is a godly gift that we've been given. As humanity faces new challenges, many of them of our own doing, partnerships, harnessing diversity, learning from and complementing one another's knowledge, skills, and resources offer the key to continuing to grow and succeed. Easier said than done. Many partnerships fail in the end. Sometimes the whole is less than the sum of its parts. God has given us a gift, but we've also been given free will, and we don't always make the right decisions. Our ability to achieve synergy can be hampered by hubris, ego, selfishness, by prioritizing our own agendas, miscommunications, or personality clashes. And of course, by divisions into the us and them that has been the Achilles heel of humanity throughout history. Research estimated the economic impact of racism to be over $1 trillion in a 10-year span, only looking at the US economy. According to the World Bank, gender disparity costs us as much as 20% of the global economic performance. That's the opposite of synergy. But here too, religion can offer us answers. As we heard yesterday, our religious teachings instill in us core values that are designed to help people live better lives together. Honesty, integrity, respect for our elders, justice, protection of one another, and many more. These shared values create a common language of human dignity and respect that should help drive us towards making the world around us better, as individuals and together. In Avot, a central source for Jewish ethics, the scholar Rabbi Gamliel teaches that knowledge alone is not enough. It must be wedded to positive action. Rabbi Gamliel recommends that those engaged in public service should act with good intentions so that they find success. In the same chapter, it stresses that while our work here on earth is immense, none of us has to do it alone. We should each do our own part, and together we can achieve it. We should all be rowing in the same direction. Our religions also teach us humility, the biblical paradigm of the prophet as a humble shepherd, because those who care about animals have the same compassion and care to be good leaders. Moses was said to have a speech impediment, and Muhammad was said to be illiterate, so that the world would know that they were only messengers, the message itself coming from God. If our greatest leaders maintain humility, then who are we to let egos drive wedges between us? And finally, to our diversity. Throughout history, our differences have been abused to allow humans to commit atrocities to one another. All too often, religion has been twisted to support rather than stop bigotry and discrimination. This is personal for me. I experienced this as a child in a religious school with teachers who did not live by the messages that they claimed, the message of the very text that they claimed to be teaching us. But this is a perversion of our beliefs and texts. The Quran in Surah Al-Rum teaches, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ خَلْقُ السَّمَوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ لِسَانِكُمْ وَلَوْنِكُمْ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ آيَاتٍ لِلْعَالَمِينَ. That the diversity of tongues, of languages, and of skin color, of appearance, that is a proof of God. That is a proof of God's creation. Diversity itself is a sign of God. And the Torah reminds us that we share one origin and that we are all godly, created b'tselem Elohim, in the image of God. Because we each contain unlimited potential for creating synergy. If we can follow these teachings and embrace our shared values, put aside egos for the greater good, and embrace the diversity and godly intellect in each of us, then we will create synergy for the future. And standing here, looking at each of you, I see that we've already started that journey. My speech was supposed to end here, but yesterday, the war in my home country was mentioned in several speeches, and now I feel that I should address it as well. October 7th, 2023, was the worst day in 75 years for the Jewish people. And it was also the worst day in 75 years for the Palestinian people. The idea that this is a zero-sum competition, that one side will win and one side lose, is a fallacy. Because in war, everyone loses. That is the opposite of synergy, working together to destroy our own future. When we look for answers, I think there's a path that gets overlooked. There are 2 million Palestinians living in Israel, together with 8 million Jews. While most live in separate towns and villages, they work and shop together and interact regularly. And not by coincidence, this arrangement, this relationship, has proven to be far more successful for both sides in terms of safety, prosperity, basic quality of life. It turns out that rather than putting up fences and walls, living together in dignity creates synergy, while fighting one another only generates loss for everyone. And the inhumane horrors that the world witnessed on October 7th and has witnessed in Gaza ever since, the unthinkable atrocities that humans have done and are continuing to do to one another, these are the result of dehumanization, a failure to live by our own religious ethics and teachings, of seeing someone else, Jewish, Muslim, Christian, as less human than us, even though we are all creations of the same God. If we saw each other suffering on the news and social media, if we really felt one another's pain, we would never have found ourselves in this position to begin with. And yes, there are people out there using religion to add fuel to the fire, using religion to promote violence instead of peace, vengeance instead of mercy. To truly win, to recapture synergy, we must remember our roots, go back to our values, and use them to recalibrate, to return to being godly, and remember that we are all creations of the same God. I think as youth, we have the power to not be burdened by the history, not be burdened by the trauma, but to look at each other as individuals and respect one another. And to quote a religious leader from the Forum here, as Renz told us, innocence is not a weakness but a strength. We need to use that innocence to treat one another as basic humans. I end with a prayer for peace and guidance, for an immediate end to all wars, for the safe return of the hostages, to the health, safety, and well-being of every innocent man, woman, and child in Gaza, Israel, the West Bank, and throughout the world, and for us to remember and never again forget that we are all brothers and sisters. Every soul lost is the destruction of one of God's creations, and as we are taught in the Quran and in the Mishnah, each life saved is a world unto itself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephen, and especially may I say thank you for your courageous words that you added at the end there. We honor you, and I want to say your prayer is balm to my soul. We come to our last and final speaker of this session. I understand to Kazakhs he may need no introduction. He is a theologian, he is the chief imam of the Yaskeldi Haji Mosque here in Astana, and I think I won't introduce him by his full name, but by the name on which you will find him on social media, Nurlan Imam. You are welcome.
Ассалаумағалейкум, ардақты ағайын, құрметті біздің Дархан еліміздің топырағын басып келген, алыс жақыннан келген қонақтар, біздің кең пейілді қазақ еліне, қазақ жеріне қош келіпсіздер. Жалпы қазақ жері, Дархан еліміз әрқашан сыйластықтың, құрметтің, ұлтына қарамастан, дініне қарамастан құтты мекені болып келген. Бұған кешегі өтіп өткен 20 ғасырдағы кеңестік кезіндегі қуғын сүргіннің нәтижесінде біздің елімізге келген көп ұлттар мен ұлыстардың бас қосуында болды. Сол кезде түрі бөлек, діні бөлек, ұлты бөлек, түсінігі бөлек, ойы бөлек, барлық жағы бөлек болған азаматтар біздің елде, Қазақстанда қоныс тапты. Жай тапқан жоқ, махаббатын тапты, мейірімін тапты. Менің үлкен әжем сол кезде қоныстанып, үйдегі адамдар Кавказдан бөлінген кезде біздің үйіміздің қасына Грузиядан келген кісілер кірген екен. Сонда біздің әжеміз ол кісінің грузин екенін әлі күнге дейін кейін барып білген ғой, сұрауға болмаған. Өзі қазақ тарихы ислам мен мұсылмандықпен біте қайнасқан. Сол кезде келген қонақты қандай мақсатпен келді? Діні кім? Біздің елімізде сұрамаған. Кел, жоғары шық, нан ауыз ти деген қағидаттар біздің елімізде бабамыздан ұрпақтан ұрпаққа сіңген тәлімді ұлағат болды. Міне сол менен сол түнде әжеміз айтады, түнде шошып оянсам, әлгі грузин кісі бір нәрсе оқып жатады дейді. Сөйтсем, Інжілді оқып, стенаға қарап оқиды екен. Сонда әжеміз енді білмейді ғой, шам жағып беріп, айналайын, мынау дәрет ал деп құмған әкеп беріпті ғой. Соны кейін өз күліп айтады да, мен жаңағы Інжілді дәретпен оқиды екен ғой деп түсіндім деді. Міне біздің ұлағатымыз осы ұрпақтан ұрпаққа жетті. Бүгінде біздің 100-ден асқан ұлт пен ұлыстың бірден бір отаны Қазақстан болып отыр. Мен неге бұны айтып отырмын? Өйткені осы ұлттар мен ұлыстардың арасындағы түсіністік тікелей дінді қамтиды. Біздегі араздық, дау-дамай, көбінесе келіспеушілік өзінің мәселесін тікелей өткізуде. Менікі ғана болса екен, менің дінім ғана жүрсе екен деген мүддені қойған кезде алауыздық келіп шығады. Жоқ. Дұрыс, сенің дінің өзіңе дұрыс шығар. Құран кәрімде ләкум динукум алия дин, сенің дінің өзіңе, менің дінім өзіме деген бабаларымыздың қасиеті тап осы жерде келіп шықты. Яғни өзінің мүддесін, дінін біреудің мойнына аспады. Бұл деген сөз не? Бұл хидаят, тура жолға келу Құдайдың қолында деп түсінді. Яғни ісімізбен дәлелдедік. Мен осыны үйреніп, кейінірек әлеуметтік желіге шыққанымда, шығуыма бірден бір түрткі болған нәрсе жас балалардың мына үлкен дін қызметкерлеріне, мейлі қай діннің өкілі болсын, астына жазған пікірлері, комменттері жүрегіме қатты тиді. Мұсылман болса, өзге діннің өкілдеріне ақ ит кіріп, көк ит шығып, сондай жаман пікірлер жаза бастады. Біздің өскелең ұрпақ қай жаққа кетіп бұзылып бара жатқандығын өздері түсіне алмады. Тіпті өзінің пікірменен сәйкес келмеген адамның өзін даттауға өсіп қалған жастар. Өйткені заман зумерлердің заманы, заман әлеуметтік заман әркімнің қолында ұялы телефон бар. Соның нәтижесінде осындай келіспеушілік келіп туды. Осыдан шығарып айтайын дегенім, яғни дін қызметкерлері, соның ішінде әсіресе бүгінгі біздің II форумға арқау болған жас діни лидерлердің ерекше бір қанатын алып шыққым келіп отыр. Бұл деген сөз не? Ортақ түсіндік. Жаңа Құранның аятымен келтіріп айтылды, ихтилаф мәселеде, келіспеушілік мәселеде біз бірлесуге жол табудың жолында тұруымыз керек. Түсіністікке келуіміз керек. Сен өзіндікін айтып, мен өзіндікін айта берсек, бізде діни қоғамның өзінде алға даму болмайды. Ортақ мәселеге келіп, келісімге келіп диалогқа. Ал енді иттифақ мәселеде, келісілген мәселеде бекем тұрсақ, сонда біздің ортамызда дау болмайтындығы анық. Бізде өкінішке орай бәрі ауысты. Сондықтан осы біздің дархан дала жерімізде жаңағы мен айтқан ұлттар мен ұлыстардың біте қайнасуы ағайындықты көтерді. Бүгінгі таңда біздің әлеуметтік желідегі ағайын мен ағайынның, бауыр мен бауырдың, әйел мен ер азаматтың, ер азаматпенен отбасының тіл табысуы, тіпті халық пенен мемлекеттің тіл табысуы өте үлкен даулы мәселеге айналып бара жатыр. Халқымызда, қазақ халқында үлкен жақсы сөз бар. Ақымаққа айып жоқ дейді. Ақымаққа ренжуге болмайды дейді. Бірақ оны түртіп, шұқылағанға не жоқ дейді. Осы сөз арқылы тәлім тек қана ұрыспенен алға бармайды. Менікі ғана дұрыс деп мойына асылумен бармайды. Сол үшін біздің қазіргі өскелең жастар шын мәнінде бұрынғы кездегі жастар емес. Мына көптеген мінберлерде мен өзім студенттермен, оқушылармен жиі кездескенімде, мына мінберге шығып алып, үлкен кісілер, сендер осындай болу керексіңдер, жастар осындай болу керек, молодежь быть такой, молодежь должна быть таким деген сөзді айтып, жиналыстар осымен аяқталады. Жоқ. Егер ол олай болатын болса, ол осы жерге келіп отырмаған болар еді, тыңдамаған болар еді. Сондықтан жастардың көңіліне түсу, мүмкін ойының деңгейіне көтерілу, мүмкін қалауын беру арқылы біз жастарымызды терең бойға, терең ойға, терең бағытқа бағыттай алатын едік. Жастар қашанда үлкен күш, қайнаған күш, сондықтан жастардың дұрыс арнада өсуі, ауыз бірлік, діндердің үндестігі, бауырмашылықтық, ағайындық қасиет. Мына әсіресе кейбір радикал болып бара жатқан жастардың исламды өткізем деп, өзге дінді төмен түсіріп, қазақтың тілін ультра националист дейміз, ультра, яғни шектен шығып, әсіре ұлтшылдыққа өтіп, өзінің тілін көтерем деп, өзге тілдерді төмен басып, бір ұлттың, мен жуырда бір уағызшының бір сөзін естідім, мына көрші мемлекеттің тілі туралы, бұл сондай жезөкшенің тілі, бұл осылардың тілі деген жаман-жаман сөз айтты. Өкінішке орай, менің оның сөзіне ренжіген жоқпын. Ең ренжігенім, соның астындағы пікірлер, соны қолдаған адамдардың пікірі мені шошытты. Неге? Бір адам ақымақ болса, артындағы ілескен адамның қаншамасының адасуына себеп болады. Сондықтан біздің ата-бабамыз ешқашан сенімнен ажырамаған, туралықтан қия кетпеген. Сондықтан да біздің осы бүгінгі жастардың II форумы, бұл діни лидерлердің айтпақ болғаным, бірінші көзге ұстайтын нәрсесі елдің бірлігі, халықтың ынтымағы, ұлттардың ұйысуы, діндердің үндесуі. Бізде анау біріншісі мен сәлем берейін ба, біріншісі сен сәлем бересің ба? Ассалаумағалейкум деп айтайын ба, добрый день деп айтайын ба? Міне біздің таласып жүргендеріміз шалом деп айтайын ба деп, бір-бірімізбен таласып жүрген нәрсеміз осы. Сондықтан біз бұдан өтетін уақытқа келдік. Мен сөзімнің соңын мемлекетіміздің басшысы Қасым-Жомарт Кемелұлының өскелең ұрпақ діндер мен мәдениеттердің тоғысын дұрыс түсініп, өзара құрметпенен, өзара сыйластықпен, өзара түсіністіктің аясында өсу керек деген сөзін алға қойған болар едім. Шын мәнде біздің жастарымыз үлкенді құрметтеу қасиеті, оны үлкен дегенде бөліп қарамай, мұсылман ба, мұсылман емес пе, үлкен адам деп құрметтеген ел едік. Сол қағидамыз қайта оралсын. Осы біздің елімізде өтіп жатқан діндердің съезді шын мәнінде кеше көп мінберлерде айтылып үлгі болған ел. Осы үлгіміз мәңгілікке жалғассын. Мәңгілік еліміздің мәңгілік қасиеті молынан болсын. Рахмет назарларыңызға. Енді уақытымыз тығыз, сондықтан енді басқа тілде қайырылсам болар еді, кешірім сұраймын. Рахмет. Ағылшынша айтсам болар.
Thank you so much, Nurlan Imam. I think in listening to you and in listening to you, your understanding of the younger generation and your affirmation and encouragement to them, you are turning the power structures upside down. I hope that is true for the future of religious dialogue, and I hope the leadership for that dialogue in the future is being grown and will flourish in this room as a result of today's forum. So let me say thank you to the 5 speakers who have just led us, stood on the platform on their own. You've got to admire their courage. I think some had never spoken before. Isn't that amazing? So could we give them another round of thanks collectively, please? One more thing I want to say about all of the speakers today is that your timing has been superb. I think you could teach those who sit around the circle of the Congress a thing or two about timing, and I think Mr. Azimbayev would be delighted if you represent the future of the Congress. It will not run late next time. Okay, we're coming to the close of this forum. The last thing we wish to do is for you to hear the communique that has now been finalized from the Forum of Young Religious Leaders and will be published this afternoon as a result of this session. And what I'd like to do is to invite Emmanuel Gans, who is president of the Tonafa Institute from Benin in West Africa, to come to the podium and to read the final communique on behalf of all the young leaders here. Thank you, Emmanuel. Merci.
Avec plaisir. Communiqué Youth for Peaceful Coexistence. We, the participants of the Second Forum of Young Religious Leaders, held under the auspices of Congress of the Leaders of World and Traditional Religions, gathered at the Palace of Independence in Astana on 18 September 2025 to discuss the role of youth in strengthening interreligious and intercultural dialogue in today's world. Recognizing that the modern world faces a wide range of challenges from geopolitical instability and armed conflicts to climate crisis and social inequality, we affirm the urgent need to unite our efforts in advancing peace, mutual understanding, and constructive action. Acknowledging that youth represents a powerful and dynamic force with the potential to shape a more sustainable and just future, we reaffirm our commitment to applying our knowledge, energy, and leadership to promote the values of peace, sustainable development, and harmonious coexistence. We hereby affirm our commitment to the following 5 key priorities. First, developing youth dialogue platform. We support the creation and expansion of youth-led forums, educational programs, and intercultural and interreligious exchanges as effective tools to foster mutual understanding and build trust among people of different faiths and culture. 2, promoting spiritual and moral values. We aim to uphold universal values including tolerance, compassion, respect, and responsibility as the ethical foundation for addressing global challenges and advancing peaceful coexistence. 3, launching constructive initiatives. We are committed to designing and implementing projects in the areas of social support, environmental protection, technological innovation, and education, with a particular focus on empowering vulnerable groups and local communities. 4, harnessing innovation for peace. We recognize the transformative potential of modern technologies, from digital platforms to artificial intelligence as a vital instrument for advancing interfaith dialogue, spiritual diplomacy, and global collaboration. 5, fostering global cooperation. We advocate for the strengthening of partnerships with international and regional organizations, government bodies, civil society institutions, and religious communities to build a more sustainable, inclusive, and peaceful world. We call upon the international community, including religious and political leaders, to support and expand youth-led initiatives aimed at promoting interfaith dialogue and spiritual diplomacy. Only through collective action can we build a just, peaceful, and sustainable future for all. We reaffirm our commitment to the goals and the principle of Congress of the leaders of world and traditional religions, grounding in mutual respect, dialogue, and inter-religious cooperation as the foundation for lasting peace. This communique was adopted by a majority of delegates of the Second Forum of the Young Religious Leaders held within the framework of the VIII Congress of the Leaders of World and Traditional Religions. It is hereby addressed to religious and political leaders, government authorities, international and religious organizations, civil society institutions, religious communities, and leading experts in interreligious and intercultural dialogue. May our aspiration be blessed, and may prosperity be granted to all nations and people. Astana, Republic of Kazakhstan. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. That will be published in several languages, so I hope it will be a document that is useful to you to take away from here in your work. And I just want to affirm that the order of those 5 priorities is the order on which you voted. And each of the 5 calls us to action. We've had a great forum this morning. I have to say, I love to see this morning at the beginning session, every single seat in this room, over 300, was taken. That is a sign of how committed young people are to foster peace through dialogue when it comes to the world religions. But the real success of this forum is it's not about numbers, it's not even about fantastic speakers, it's not about the beauty of the lighting, the design in this room. It is about translating word into action. It's about those 5 priorities and the ways in which you go from here and take it forward so that this event becomes as significant as the event that Zainab described in Egypt and Cambridge, as the event someone else described in Philippines, as the event someone else described in Germany. This will be the event in Kazakhstan that helped to shape a new generation. So can I just ask you one more time, we have time, to turn to your neighbor and to tell them, as a result of this morning, what action, what little action or big action, what priority are you going to take forward from here because of today? 2 minutes. If you're on your own, then turn around and find another 2 people behind you. What will you do because of today? Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. May I remind you, if you don't already know, that you are all welcome to the final session of the Congress of World and Traditional Religions, which takes place this afternoon. You should take your seats in the main hall by 2:30 p.m. for a 3 p.m. start, but you need to arrive by 2:30. It remains for me finally to say thank you, 2 thank yous. The first thank you is to each of our 10 young leaders who were bold enough to be our speakers today. And the second thank you is a thank you to the organizers. They are in the background today of this event, but they have put a lot of effort into the way in which they have thought through and reinvented a new Congress for the next generation. Thank you, all of you, everyone. Bye-bye. Lunch is served next door.